bought a ride. They have the L sponsorship, and unfortunately, an early crash. Overall, does this highlight the flaws of the Xfinity series since there's no charge? And how frustrating is this for Katherine Legge and just in general this weekend?
Well, I don't think it's a charter issue. I mean, people know where I stand on a charter system in NASCAR, and now, unfortunately, in my opinion, in the IndyCar series as well. I'm not a fan of how that business practice has infiltrated American motorsports. I'm very thankful. I hope to God that we never see it in the Xfinity series. I think it would be very hard for the independents to survive, like the Alpha Prime Racings of the world and Jordan Anderson Racings of the world, which is where Katherine Legge is going to be making most of these starts and was planning to start for this Rockingham race. Was not the slowest car in qualifying. I want to make that clear. It's just the way the owner's point situation worked out and provisionals for different cars in the grid that have more points or have more starts or whatever. She unfortunately, with the combination of the time that she ran, where that car is in owner points, was kind of the odd driver out there and failed to qualify for the race. And again, I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan of ride buying in principle, generally speaking, but I understand it from the perspective of a driver that brings sponsorship, as Katherine Legge does with Elf Cosmetics. Could use the experience, certainly much more than a veteran that's been around for over 2 decades in JJ Yeley. And again, it's an unfortunate situation for JJ, but I think, he maybe gained a lot of fans and respect from allowing himself to step out of his car for Joey Gase's team and allow Katherine the opportunity to make this start anyway and try to gain that experience. And unfortunately, as we all know, it did not work out for a very unfortunate incident. And I think ultimately having 48 hours now to have calmed down and looked at the incident through an objective lens, like I said on the Encore show earlier tonight, I think it ultimately was just that, a very unfortunate racing incident between two drivers who are both inexperienced in different ways. Katherine Legge is obviously not an inexperienced racing driver, but she is inexperienced in stock cars on high banked ovals, and that was the situation that she found herself in on Saturday. William Sawalich, on the other hand, is inexperienced, as I said on the Encore show tonight, in life, really, when you think about it. Katherine Legge has been racing for longer than William has been alive. William's only 18 years old, just getting used to racing at this level in the Xfinity Series here on these kinds of tracks. I think a driver with a little bit more experience might have been able to see the situation a few seconds ahead than he was able to. Nick Sanchez had no problem getting underneath Katherine Legge and making the pass. I think Sawalich, if given the right set of circumstances, maybe the spotter could have played a bigger role in his ear as well, telling him what was going on ahead of him. I think there was enough room for him to go down and make the pass cleanly as well. Having said that, I can also see the argument that a driver with a little bit more stock car experience than Katherine Legge might have been able to get out of the groove a little bit earlier, a little bit sooner, gone up half a lane higher to make it a little bit easier on William Sawalich to get that pass done. Unfortunately, they both came together. He got into the back of her, spun her out. And the really unfortunate thing is that it took Kasey Kahne with them, and Kasey Kahne was making his first start in NASCAR in quite some time, over half a decade, and a lot of his fans were very much looking forward to his return, and he just got taken out as an innocent bystander in that ordeal. And I think that kind of fanned the flames of the hate that was coming towards both drivers, to be clear and to be fair, but especially towards Katherine Legge, on top of what, as Eric Estep correctly pointed out, and he took some heat for this as well, but I don't think he was wrong. It has objectively been a miserable experience for Katherine Legge this year in her return to stock car racing. She got caught up in the big one at the ARCA race at Daytona. That cost her 75 more laps that she could have used to gain more experience, and experience that would be coming in handy for Talladega next weekend. She lost out on the opportunity to do that. And then, of course, the Phoenix ordeal obviously was, really unfortunate situation with her spinning out in the race in the opening laps and then kind of finding her groove, but then spinning out again with the contact with Josh Berry that ultimately ended Daniel Suarez's day as well. So again, I'm really hopeful, as we've gotten this full announcement, as you mentioned, Joe, and this full schedule that she's going to be running, that Mexico City is going to be much more in her environment, more of what she's used to running on the road course, and a much better opportunity for her to be able to prove what she can do behind the wheel of a stock car. I will say, in complete objectivity and honesty, I am a little bit nervous for her at Talladega this weekend. Again, not because I don't think she's qualified to make that start and run the race. As we've said multiple times on this show, she's the fastest woman in IMS history. I have no doubt, but she can handle 200 miles an hour in the pack at Talladega. It's just I am a little bit nervous over the fact that if she is even close to an incident that takes out half a dozen cars or causes the big one or whatever, the people on social media that have been coming after her these last few weeks are going to have even more ammunition to do so later this week if something like that were to happen. Of course, we hope and pray it doesn't. But I think if she can get through Talladega here, there are more races coming up on her schedule where she will be in a much more comfortable environment, and I think she will be able to prove her talent behind the wheel much better under those circumstances. So again, it's a really, really unfortunate situation, unfortunate incident. I still stand by my initial belief. I think Sawalich is partially to blame. But then again, you could say the driver with a little bit more experience maybe could have been a little bit more prepared for that situation that Katherine Legge was in as well. But again, you also have to remember that that was not the car that she qualified or practiced this week. That was a brand new environment to her as well in many respects because of the ride buying situation that played out after qualifying. So again, it's the business of this sport is very complicated and has a lot of flaws, as you mentioned, Joe, that can probably never be perfect. But that's still not an excuse for some of the rhetoric that has been spewed in Katherine Legge's direction here over the last few weeks. And that's really, I think, the biggest tragedy in all of this. She made a mistake at Phoenix. You can't deny it. She maybe could have moved up half a lane this weekend at Rockingham and made it a little bit easier on William Sawalich to get by. But even when she wasn't entirely at fault here in this situation, it still led to those trolls and comments coming out on social media, and that's the most frustrating part of the situation to me.